Next we'll be introducing a panel around the same topic as we started. So it's all about using location in the industrial environment and industrial use cases. Fabio will be hosting the panel, so over to you, Fabio.
Thank you, Thomas. Welcome back to the Quuppa Virtual Partner Event. And we are starting with a new panel. This is a great one. It's about industrial, it's about logistic, manufacturing, and everything that has to do with the industrial world and Industry 4.0. So we have some fantastic panelists joining us today, Neil, Nicholas, and Nico. Well, let's get started by maybe you giving a short introduction about yourself and your company. Neil, please.
Thank you. My name is Neil Corbett. I'm the Business Development Director for the Sense product line at OmniID. OmniID is an industrial asset tagging manufacturer. We've been in the market now since 2007, focused predominantly on passive UHF RFID, but also with a focus over the last few years in the IoT sector with BLE and LoRaWAN and Quuppa technologies, obviously. On top of that, within that time, we've built ourselves up to be probably the #1 global player within the industrial sector, with over 200 million tags sold over those 14, 15 years of operation. So quite a bit to play there. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much. And Nicholas.
Thank you, Fabio. So I am Nicolas Devos from Open. Open is a 35-year-old French company dedicated specialist in IT and digital, and I am the sales manager for digital and innovation. Regarding what we are doing with the industry, with IoT, we are a system and services integrator. It means that we want to provide advices and solution, end-to-end solution to solve issues that our customers have.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nicholas. Nico.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. My name is Nico Karl. I'm the product manager with Indotrex. I'm in the business of deploying location-aware solutions in industrial customers since 15 years, more than 15 years. And we started Indotrex about 5 years now ago to create a technology-independent software that sits in the middle of enterprise systems and the technology systems itself to help facilitate deploying the technologies in markets like logistics, manufacturing, but also in other markets which are close to manufacturing and logistics. But the focus of Indotrex is really in that market. And so we are happy to work with Quuppa since a couple of years now.
Thank you, Nico. So this panel, as you can see, we have some true industrial experts coming from different geographical market, different background, and also offering different product into the industrial side. So let me just kind of initiate the discussion. So I think that everybody following the industrial market, whether it's manufacturing, logistics, warehousing, can see a lot of bustling around the idea of Industry 4.0. And within this big umbrella, actually there are many subsystems that work jointly in order to provide this idealistic Industry 4.0 experience. And that is from IoT to RTLS, so real-time location system, to the concept of digitalization, artificial intelligence, RFID, and so on. So the first thing I would like to ask you, it's based on your experience, can you define for us shortly what is the Industry 4.0 and what are the technology that you think are playing a major game into the new digitalization era? And maybe Nico, I will give you the ball first to get the discussion started.
Yeah, I think Industry 4.0 is really about digitization of processes. There are a couple of new tools out there on the markets, like location technologies, like e-papers, like identification, and they are emerging, and they need to be helping the processes for our customers, and that always has to do with linking it into the master data systems, enterprise systems, which are used to plan the processes, which are used to control the processes. And Industry 4.0 is really about linking the shop floor with the back office, I would say. And that is really something that was in early stages 10 years ago, and with setting the brand of Industry 4.0, that would really help to get it out into the market and establish some standard solutions around there that help to introduce location as an add-on information to the well-known information about machine status and things like that.
Thank you, Nico. Nicolas, how do you see it from your standpoint?
Yes, I do agree with Nico. Industry 4.0 is a mix of processes, business, IT, and innovation. And this is why it's more or less easy to understand, but not so easy to practice and to meet the success into industrialization of, in this case, for this kind of project, excuse me. So I do agree with what Carl, Nico explained, and probably what we have to solve is to find a good way to talk with our customer about innovation, about technology, the good ones that can solve the issues that they have. But we have to talk with several people from the business, people from the IT, people from the innovation, and this is not so easy to make all those people align at the same moment for the same subject. But this is what we try to do every day with you at Quuppa, and also with Nel, with Nico. This is our day-to-day job.
Yeah, thank you, Nicolas. Yeah, very good point. And Neil, how about from?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there's a few key points that were referenced there that seem very relevant in this. But I think one of the key aspects is trying to understand, and for the businesses to try and see how they're, like, for example, in a manufacturing business, getting them visibility of how things move through their processes, seeing the timestamps and the duration of which certain things are within the different steps of those processes is providing significant value. They're able then to start getting better visibility of the amount of time a specific asset is worked on. They can then start to build up automatically visibility of the costs incurred in trying to generate and manufacture these individual products. And by bringing all this together, it means processes that were all driven by hand and manually before, and how this recording was entered into the systems is now happening a lot more efficiently. It's not requiring end-of-day manual input. It is now just being driven automatically by the systems themselves. This in itself means there's now headcount reduced in this data collection point. It now means that headcount can be reallocated into actually manufacturing the product, which is where they generate their revenues. So these streamlining processes that we're able to provide within this Industry 4.0 concept is things that are allowing them to be a lot more efficient in their operations, reduce cost overall, and basically increase productivity, which is essentially what most businesses are striving towards.
Thank you, Neil. So let me summarize what all I heard so far, which are very good point, because I heard you talking about automatize the overall process and really benefits from cost and productivity. I heard Nicolas talking about really be able to roll it out and engage the right stakeholder, many use cases, many people that have their say in what is built. And then And then Nico was mentioning that actually the industry 4.0 is not a new concept. It's actually something that has been around as a buzz for quite of a bit. And then there has been some early attempt, and technology has gotten more mature. So maybe a question for you is like, where are we now? Are we still kind of dreaming about Industry 4.0? We know the ingredient, we know how the soup should look at the end of the day, but we're still cooking it. So what's your feeling? I mean, I want to start with Nicholas, really asking, do you think that the industry is really moving towards digitalization and Industry 4.0?
Yes, Fabio, I think that this is the year we will see a big change, and we will stop to dream about Industry 4.0 and to think about how to do. And I'm sure that all of our customers in industry, in logistics, warehouse, etc., are now ready to jump into this revolution. Especially, probably this is due to the COVID crisis that has been an accelerator for most of those people that understood that they do not have the choice to adopt digitalization of the processes. So now they have to do that, and we can really hope that they will not do that project by project, but with a huge and transverse approach. And so we will have more way to help them, more budget, and more moyen to do that, and to roll out this kind of project. I'm sure that this is the year of the change. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicholas. Very good. Neil, how about from the tag side? How do you see that moving?
Personally, I'm seeing this as we're on the curve. We're on that upward curve. There's many companies that have already dived into what this can provide for them. Automation is, and the concept of digital automatic data collection has always been there, and it's just evolved over the years, from whether it be barcodes automatically being read at conveyors, for example, through RFID, and now with more high granularity visibility around production facilities, for example. But I see the uptake seems to be growing more recently. There's more different technologies coming into the equation. Bigger players are now getting more on board with it and spreading the understanding of what these different technologies can provide for their businesses. And I think to a certain extent we've reached a turning point now where many organizations are taking this on board to realize the benefits for themselves. And it's meaning that a lot of the smaller players that are typically the followers in the market, rather than the ones that are leading out, finding those new technologies, are now starting to see what the noise is about, and starting to follow in the direction of some of those those leading companies that are branching out first. So I think we're on for Omni and for the guys around the table here, I believe we're in a relatively interesting period. I see the uptake starting to rise and the interest starting to rise amongst quite a wide variety of the market. But the market is huge. It covers a wide variety of different sectors as well. And from what I'm seeing, there's more uptake in certain sectors over others. Logistics seems to be very prevalent at the minute. We've had a lot of inquiries over the last while, more in that tracking element with RTIs, for example, in the logistics sector. But others are coming through as well, and it's just becoming a lot more visible that the sectors that this is touching is getting more widespread. Sorry.
Yeah, makes sense. Those are good examples that really show that something is moving, right? It's not just the buzzing anymore. Thank you. Nico.
Yeah, I would agree that you see more and more, even C-levels get attention to the topic of digitization. The interest, although, had been around there since long time. Even in the 0 years, we had a lot of inquiries about implementing location technologies, but back then it was either technology-wise not the perfect tools available, or it was just too expensive. And I think 2013 and 14 proved a change of the game, because then we saw introducing technologies like BLE, and also with ultra-wideband chip vendors coming into the game, which completely changed the game. And we see it. Quuppa started to really their success story back in those years, and that helped to introduce solutions which are affordable to the customers and provide benefits. And that also helped to get attention in the board of the companies, and that helped to really deploy Industry 4.0 solutions. Most people start about the idea of finding things in a quicker way, but then quickly it turns out that you can do much more with location. Yeah, as Neil already mentioned, you can start to measure times in process steps. You can see buffer overruns and things like that, and that really provides a huge benefit for the customer, for the processes. And even with historic data, you can start to continually improve the processes. And that's something that is more and more adopted, and people, they get introduced into those ideas, and they start to really learn about those. And definitely, I think, I agree with Nicholas, it's the year where a lot can change, fostered by COVID crisis. Yeah, that's definitely a fact as I see it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it seems that that everyone is looking at the market in the same way. We all understand the maturity of the market in the same way. So let me put a little bit of spice into this discussion. So we have heard that that there are some very significant projects already been rolled out into the market, and actually the end customer, even during this Quuppa Virtual Event, some of our panel discussion have laid out all the benefits that they draw out of using Industry 4.0 related technology like real-time location systems. So what and we know that some of these benefits are very significant. I mean, someone can, save 30% of cost or improve productivity by 30% by a mix of things. Maybe not ordering the same material twice, maybe knowing where the material is in the warehouse so that they don't need to pay someone spending time searching for that, knowing where the right tool for the manufacturing line is so that they don't need to stop or slow down the assembly. So it seems that we are coming to a point that we have some good case studies, we have some good references, the market is getting more educated, the technology is getting mature. So what is it limiting, on your opinion, the market adoption? What is it limiting the era of digitalization really to spread out widely? So maybe Neil, I start from you.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that many companies have is trying to find that low-hanging fruit that allows them to kick off the process of digitization internally. Sometimes they struggle to find, or customers will struggle to find the project with the right ROI that will get the whole concept off the ground internally. Sometimes it isn't just one project that needs it though, and that's part of the challenge. Sometimes it's multiple step projects that could exist side by side within the same technology ecosystem that would help to be the justified driver overall. But I see that as one of the challenges that a lot of them are trying to deal with. There are many companies out there that if they were able to see that the first project they were able to deliver would not just deliver the ROI for that one opportunity. It's knowing that now that you have this technology in place, it's then that door is opened. It's like they've opened Pandora's box. Now they can see inside and start to get better visibility of their whole operations. Now, whenever I started off in the RFID world, one of the phrases that was used all the time was, you don't know what you can't see. And this technologies such as Quuppa, other IoT technologies, allow you to get visibility of your operations. And it's only when you get that visibility can you then make decisions that will actually make the changes better and make your operations more efficient. So sometimes it's almost like a chicken and egg type situation. Without that initial small ROI, or one that takes a little bit of time to achieve, that you get the technology in with initially, that people are starting to understand what it can do for the business, then the thoughts started rolling from out the rest of the operational teams. Then they can see, well, I can do it for my section, and I will be able to generate this benefit. And you know what I mean? It all comes together through that, that concept that is now, it's part of the business style, it's part of the business operations, and they can then embrace it as individual sectors within the operation and take it forward. So it's not a siloed approach, it then becomes a company-wide approach.
Yeah, so it's like an avalanche effect that it starts small and then little by little takes more and more momentum. Thank you. Nicholas, how about from a solution provider like Open? How do you see these limitation factors?
Yeah, to complete what Neil said, I would say that the main limit is that we need the C-level to take a global decision and to have an idea about a global strategy for the digitalization of the company. As Neil said, one project or one technology, this is not enough to reach a huge return on investment. So you need to have a global approach. This global strategy, and probably this is linked to the transformation of the companies that can go to a platform company model or a data company. And once you decide to go into the industry 4.0 challenge and to deploy RTLS or IoT everywhere in your factories, in your plants, maybe you are not more a manufacturer, but you become a data company because you can sense everything everywhere and change your way of working to be directly connect to the market and yeah, plug your factory to the market, in fact. So we need a strategic decision and a global approach and stop to do super nice project, but project by project. We need to go deeper and stronger.
Yeah, good point. So Neil touched upon don't focus on a silo, single use case, go broad and horizontal. Then yeah, I think it makes sense. And Nico, how about from your side? I mean, also Indutrax is a solution provider. So how do you actually across multiple technologies? So how do you see the market be limited in this adoption?
I think a lot of limitation comes from the fact that the companies that want to invest in digitalization technologies are limited in resources. So they can hardly find someone who really takes care. And we often ended up in situations talking to students who took care of the digitization projects. And I totally agree. It should be addressed by C-levels, by really the company strategy, but practically they have really problems getting people up to speed, getting people allocated to changing the way of working. They are locked up in the traditional ways, and hence students must do the change. And that certainly is not the best way to address these issues. Everybody can imagine, but I think this is seen in a lot of companies, and they try to get hold of people that really take care of these new projects, of implementing new technologies, and definitely just using a one technology approach in a lot of situations is not enough. It can handle one specific use case, But then the question comes, what after? And looking holistically at a business process improvement is not being addressable by a single technology. So that's also the reason why we more or less look into various technologies. That is identification, that is even looking at sensors to get hold of humidity and temperature, because that's one data point that's required to provide transparency about the overall process. Yeah, so definitely it's limiting to start with, let's say, the low-hanging fruits, but at the same time have to have the vision in mind to get the global picture. Yeah? Both need to connect, and you need to find the right managers to get everything in place, and that's a hurdle sometimes.
Yeah, that makes
I strongly agree with that. Sorry to interrupt, guys, but I'd strongly agree with that one. I think the point of quite frequently, whenever a solution is requested within a department, it's departmentalized. It starts off with a focus for a specific application. Some manager has the vision. He wants to see his department looking great and doing things right. He goes off, finds his opportunity, finds a solution to deliver on that. But without the company having the strategy around that to take it forward, sometimes it gets lost in the weeds. And then it becomes that situation again where you have something that is not necessarily something that will be able to be taken forward across the company. It becomes a point solution and can't be anything else. It delivers great ROI for that application, but if someone was to look at it across the organization as a whole, as both of the guys have said, without that strategic vision about taking on the new technologies, then it becomes harder for it to be able to gain real traction within the business and be able to have real fundamental change. And I think, again, that in itself is part of the problem. There are many technologies out there today, and the guys that are selling theirs are championing their technology, others are championing their own. And individually, they are great for the specific applications, but some will be better than others for a broader stroke of applications within our business. And that's the time whenever that strategic vision needs to be understood by the C-levels that the guys have been referring to. Sorry for interrupting.
No, I think that this was a great addition, and I couldn't agree more with what you guys said. I have so many questions in my mind that I'm trying to actually figure out what's going to be next. So I think that we all agree that in order to really take off and the company or an industry to benefit from digitalization, there needs to be a strategic level decision. It cannot be a kind of lower level decision where someone just wants to try out something as a single isolated project, because anyway, the infrastructure that needs to go in place, they can be quite significant in order to address the use case that someone wants to tackle. And maybe one direction I would like to take as my next question is that if you think about connectivity is an IoT in general, so like remote sensing and be able to know what is happening out there by having tags with sensors or having machine with telemetry. I think that we all agree, actually the market agreed that that's a must-have. I don't think that there is any building, even nowadays, office building, that doesn't get planned without Wi-Fi. So connectivity is a must. So data rules the world, and is such a strategic decision, and no one question how we can monetize upon having data. But do you agree with the statement that the data can be made richer in conjunction with location? So if you would know what is recorded, but now you would have a contextual information, meaning where that has been recording and what's around what has been recording, considering that we are moving into an industrial manufacturing which is more and more mobile, where machines are actually moving. They are not static where they are placed the first day. So how do you see the combination of location awareness and data content? And maybe, Neil, I want to ask to you, because coming from a tag company, a tag manufacturer, you guys record a lot of data, a lot of sensor data. Yeah. And these objects are also mobile. So how do you see this coming together?
I think the mobility of the tags is fundamental for that. And then within the business, sorry, within the office sector in particular, they're adding of location to that data is beneficial for different sectors more so than others. And it depends upon what the asset is or what the item is that's being tracked. So as I mentioned earlier, with the idea of in the manufacturing where you've got an asset that's moving its way through the production cycle, different stages along the way, it can take different detours depending upon the process that needs to be used on. The location then becomes absolutely fundamental to the process that it's going through. So again, with that, it's location, but more contextually again, vibration, what process is actually happening to it. We're working with some customers today who are trying to use the onboard accelerometers and temperature sensors on the tags to drive more understanding as to exactly what the process is happening to the asset in question. And as such, they can then put more value down to understanding the cost of that process. Now, this is a combination of the asset and also the individual who's working on it. So a tag on the user, on the staff member, a tag on the asset. The proximity of the two together says, okay, that means we've had multiple people working on this asset for this period. Now, that person is charged at X dollars per hour, and therefore that charge is now associated to the production of that asset. So again, the context of these two together is outstanding as far as understanding true costs in that specific environment. And that's just one of them. Now, you take that across retail sectors as well. It all shares a similar perspective.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's a combination. Nico, how do you see the combination of data content and contextualization of where the data are recorded?
I can only agree with Neil. Yeah, definitely. It's the combination that really provides value. And imagine all the moving things in a factory. Yeah, so it's really pivotal, I would say, to know where your work in progress is roaming about, to understand what is in your books, what is the working capital, and then drive decisions from there. And that really requires the exact knowledge of what is happening. It's not just the location on its own. It's not just knowing a machine is down. It's the combination that gives you the insight of what's really happening in your factory. And that can be used to drive the right decision at the right time.
Yeah, great. And Nicholas, how about from your side? Do you agree with the statement?
Of course, I agree with what Neil and Nico said. But finally, the problem that we have is to find the way to merge data and location and everything into a unique, I would say, platform or a toolbox or a data lake. I don't know what is the good name for this discussion, but I would say a thing. And to give our customer a vision of the value that they can find into this thing or this data lake. It's not so easy to do that because they do not have, in general, they do not have people that are able to find this value and to use the data. Not all of our customers have a data scientist or other people like that, and so it means that finally it comes from a digitalization project inside the factory, and they also have to provide some data scientists, people that are able to see the value of the data. So this is a very huge transformation. It is what we said since the beginning of this discussion. In fact, this is part of the strategy of our customers. So they have to invest, they have to find money, they have to hire people and to find resources to be able to manage, of course, with the help of people like all of us. But they also have to invest by themselves.
Yeah. No, good point, because there is so much thinking and fusion of the data and understanding that needs to be done that it's a little bit unreasonable to think to the point of Nico before that a master student could put this together as part of a summer project. So it requires really a change, but that's a good point. So now looking at what Nicholas you said, so there are so many data that are coming potentially for so many different sources. So now if you flip the problem around and you are the end customer and you know that you have a use case at your hand that you want to solve, then you go into the market and you see 10 different technologies. Everyone is shouting at their own corner that this is the best, this is the best, this is the best, this is the best. So maybe one of the things that I would like to throw in the mix is that maybe one of the problems we all suffer from that is actually limiting the speed of market adoption is fragmentation. Is the fact that we are putting the end customer in charge of taking a decision that they are not capable to take because they don't have that education in distinguish between what the different technology can do, can complement, can deliver, how, and so on. So is this a statement, Nicholas, that you can agree upon, and do you unfortunately see this happening in the market in your everyday work?
Of course, Fabio, you're right. This is what we can see every day. And we have to help our customer to give them advice. They can also find advice with companies like McKinsey, etc. But I would say that what I can mostly see is that they try to find this kind of advice with their old and classical IT provider in general, or with GAFA, Microsoft or Google or Amazon. And so they are discussing with this kind of company to have the good advice regarding the system and the fact that you have to merge data coming from a lot of different ways. And in general, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they can have the solution because the way you merge everything, this is the platform, this is the data platform. And when you think about the data platform, you have to think about Microsoft and the other brands that I said.
Right.
So of course, they are looking to that, and probably they can have a good advice, but not for all the subjects. And those people are not expert only in Industry 4.0. So this is not so easy for them to have a good overview of that. But probably I would say that we can disconnect the technologies that are in the field with the data and the platform. This is what we have to reach, what we have to do.
Right.
To be in fact. We have to be
thank you, Nicholas.
provide
Good point.
solution.
Yeah, good point, Nicholas. So Nico, I mean, yours are a solution provider, so probably you are facing similar market education problem as well.
Similar problems, yes, but often we get approached by specific questions about the pros and cons of specific technologies, and then we need to say, hold on, can you tell us first what is your real problem? What is the end customer problem? What is the problem in the business process? And not looking at the technology. So I think a lot of is due to the human curiosity. A lot of engineers are in the positions, and they try to Google up for location technologies, and they can find a lot of different information, and then they make up their picture and address specific vendors. And that's where I think they go even one step ahead, and they shouldn't do so, because it's right, they are no experts in that field, and they don't know the complete picture. They just see the, let's say, the marketing stories about the different technologies. Yeah, and that's where we have a lot of problems, to get back to the real problems in the first place when talking to those kind of companies. But on the other hand, it's then well known that it's not one single thing. It's a fragmentation, as you said, and that's where they get lost, and then they stand in the middle of a huge heap of problems, and sometimes they just stay away from adopting something. It's rare examples. We see a lot of companies, they're going into the traditional phase of doing a pilot with some technology. Sometimes they fail, then they jump to the next technology, and not every company can afford that way of introducing themselves with different approaches. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Neil, how about from your side? Because you come from the tag, so it's probably they ask you a lot of questions also about solutions.
Yeah, and I think to a certain degree, it puts us in a slightly different position. In an RFID world, it all starts with the tag. That's one of the lovely quotes that's used over and over again. And whenever people come to us asking for something to do a given problem, it's one of the things that I think, trying to address your initial question, is there fragmentation? Yes and no. Yes, because it, as Nico said, it distracts and disorientates people who are doing basic research to try and find out what things will fit their application needs. And as such, it may take them down a misleading path. But realistically, each of the technologies that are out there, each have their strengths and weaknesses. And this is back to what we were talking about before with respect to that strategic approach. If the company starts to understand what the requirements are across their whole business, they will be able to find the technology that will be able to tick most of the boxes that they have, rather than one or two different technologies having to be implemented that take more. And as such, it means that they're having to spend less by implementing one technology across their entire organization, rather than having multiple different technologies and the multiple costs incurred with that. So I think there's fragmentation is an easy thing to see and an easy thing to look at, but I don't necessarily believe it's truly applicable in many circumstances. Just purely from the basis of some people want to track it on premises, some want to track it on indoor-outdoor, some want to track it between premises. Those are three different scenarios that each require different characteristics of a given technology, and sometimes it means that one will fit two of them. Very rarely will one fit all of them and give them the accuracies and the positioning data that they need. So it is a part where there is a degree of understanding needed. There is like a trusted advisor. It's that position where they can turn to a partner and say, look, you've been here before, you know what these technologies are, help guide us on this path. And I think without that, it means that the scenario that Nico described, where companies are focusing on a path down POCs and pilots that are semi-successful, but maybe not as rewarding as they could be, and hence get fallen by the wayside. It sees those as being more problematic and more occurring more often. Whenever you have that hand-holding with a technology advisor along the way, it simplifies greatly that approach and gets them to that completed solution a lot easier.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Neil. So this is a great discussion, and I would have a long list of questions still to ask, but I've been told that we are soon running out of time, so we need to come to the magic final question that everyone is oftentimes asking. And since I have technology experts in this panel today, then I can't hesitate to ask that magic question. So I would love to know, how do you see the market evolving, the industrial market evolving in terms of adoption and in terms of speed at which they will be able to digitalize their market? If you can keep your answer very sweet and short, so that we will kind of end on hopefully a positive note that the market will move in the right direction for everybody. So Nico, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think it's really moving to the direction of adoption of, let's say, best practices of tools which have been very well approved. Yeah, we are offering with our software also some tools out of the box. We call them Industry 4.0 brickstones that we can put together to get technology adopted in an easy way. And that's where I think is really the future. You need the global vision and the practicalities of getting technologies to work in a quicker way. And that is where the market is leading to. Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. Nicholas, how about from your side?
Yeah, also sure that we are moving into the right direction, and I think that we have to, with our customers, spend more time to think and discuss about the finishing line and less time about the starting point and the problem we have today. We have to help them to reinvent their companies or their way of working, and yeah, stop doing pilot, proof of concept, etc., and go think big and think about the finishing line. And so we have the good technologies to do that. And of course, Quuppa is part of the tools and the solution we have to use, because we can solve most of the problem using part or all Quuppa technologies.
Great, thank you, Nicholas. And Neil?
Yeah, well, it's quite clear from what I've seen over the last 12 to 18 months that of how the numbers of inquiries that we've been receiving, the amount of significant investment that companies are starting to make in this space. It's clear that the market is ready and the market is moving. Sometimes they're a bit slow because of what's happened over the last year with respect to the COVID impact. But as those businesses are picking themselves back up, it's quite clear that they are ready to adopt and ready to invest in technology to do this digitization. It's for them, the benefits are clear. There's efficiencies and cost savings to come, and the more of these applications that we can make visible to the market, make them aware of what other companies are doing, the more that we will start to see others taking heed and making note of what's already happened. And success breeds success. I think this is a key example of it. The more that we can talk about what has gone right for our customers and our partners already, the more the market will be aware and be able to adopt it and be willing to embrace it themselves. And it's only then I think we'll start to see those that burgeoning adoption of Industry 4.0 across the industries.
Great, great. Hey, I want to thank you so much. Thank you, our panelists, for this very delightful discussion. I learned a lot. I hope that our audience enjoyed the discussion and learn as well. So thank you, everybody, and be safe. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Fabio, and the panelists. Thank you for a great discussion. The program for today is soon over. We've shared some insights through our partners on what and how location is used in boosting the business around manufacturing and logistics. We will tomorrow at the same time continue the event. The theme of tomorrow is kicking off with the Quuppa strategy, an update on that, and then we are focusing more on the retail space and how location is enabling retail innovations for our partners and customers.